All around the world, ancient buildings have doors far too tall for any normal person. Some people online insist this proves something incredible, that giants once walked the earth. From Babylon to Rome, these oversized gateways have fueled decades of viral speculation. So were these doors really built for giants? Let's look at the actual evidence. The real answer involves ambition, power, and a very human need to impress. And the story of how the giant myth spread is almost as fascinating as the buildings themselves. Let's separate the legend from the architecture, one massive doorway at a time. Start with Babylon's Ishtar Gate, built by King Nebuchadnezzar II in the 6th century BC. It stood over 40 feet tall, decorated with glazed bricks and sacred animal imagery. Next, consider the Lion Gate at Mycenae, Greece, built around 1250 BC. Its stones were so enormous, later Greeks assumed only mythical cyclopes could have built it. Then there's the Pantheon in Rome, whose bronze doors still stand 24 feet tall today. Medieval cathedrals across Europe later followed this same tradition of soaring, oversized doorways. Each of these structures shares one obvious trait: doors built on a scale no single human needs. So why did civilization after civilization keep building doors this dramatically oversized? The answer has nothing to do with the size of the people walking through them. Throughout history, oversized doors have symbolized one thing above all else: power. Monumental gateways marked temples, palaces, and city walls as places of serious authority. A massive doorway sent an unmistakable message: whoever controls this place commands real power. Babylon's Ishtar Gate wasn't just decorative, it was also a serious piece of city defense. Thick, tall defensive walls naturally required proportionally large gates built directly into them. These gates also needed to accommodate chariots, marching soldiers, and large ceremonial processions. A door built only for one person walking through would have been completely impractical for a city gate. Temples like the Pantheon used massive doors for a different, more emotional kind of power. Walking through an enormous doorway was designed to make visitors feel humbled before the gods. Architects even had a name for this technique: the giant order, using oversized elements deliberately. This wasn't accidental. It was a calculated design choice used again and again across history. The Lion Gate at Mycenae actually reveals exactly how these giant myths get started in the first place. Centuries after Mycenae's builders were gone, later Greeks stumbled upon these enormous stone blocks. Nobody remembered how ordinary people could have possibly lifted stones that heavy into place. So they invented an explanation. Only the mythical one-eyed cyclopes could have built something this massive. That's literally why this construction style is still called Cyclopean masonry today. But modern engineers have since proven exactly how ordinary humans achieved this, using ramps and leverage. No giants were needed at all, just clever engineering, teamwork, and patient human effort. The giant myth wasn't ancient memory. It was simply awe looking for an explanation. But the giant doors are only part of a much bigger online claim: that giant humans were real. For decades, photos claiming to show massive human skeletons have circulated across the internet. One of the most famous images traces back to a very specific, very traceable source. In 2002, a digital artist created it for an online Photoshop contest called Archaeological Anomalies. He started with a real photo of a mastodon excavation, then digitally added a giant human skeleton. That single contest entry has since been recycled, with dozens of completely different fake backstories. Saudi Arabia, India, Greece, even Ohio, all falsely claimed as the site of this same fake discovery. A related claim went even further, insisting the Smithsonian secretly destroyed giant skeletons. That story also traces back to a single, clearly labeled satirical website, not real journalism. Fact-checkers at Reuters and the Associated Press have both thoroughly debunked this specific claim. Even earlier giant skeleton reports from the early 20th century didn't hold up to scrutiny. In 1934, Smithsonian anthropologist Ales Hrdlicka examined these claims and found no real evidence. Most cases turned out to be honest mistakes. Mammoth or mastodon bones misidentified as human. So does that mean nothing unusually large ever really existed? Not quite. There really was a genuinely massive ancient ape called Gigantopithecus. It may have stood up to 10 feet tall, living in Asia until around 100,000 years ago. But it was an ape, not a human, and it's known only from teeth and jaw fossils. There's also a real medical condition called pituitary gigantism, affecting individual humans. It can cause a person to grow unusually tall, sometimes reaching 8 or 9 feet in height. In fact, one ancient skeleton found near Rome was confirmed to have this exact condition. That individual stood around 6.5 feet tall, remarkable, but nowhere near mythical scale. So real tall humans have existed. Giants 90 feet tall, building doors to match, have not. And there's a very simple scientific reason why a true giant that size couldn't actually exist. It's called the square cube law, and it explains why size can't simply scale up forever. If you scaled a human up 10 times taller, their strength would only increase about 100-fold. But their total body weight would increase roughly 1,000-fold at that same scale. That means a true 90-foot giant's bones and muscles simply couldn't support its own body weight. It would need an entirely different body structure just to stand upright at all. At that point, it wouldn't even really be human anymore, just biologically impossible as depicted. This single piece of physics quietly settles the entire giant human debate. It also helps to understand why humans have always been drawn to giant stories in the first place. Nearly every ancient culture has its own version of giants, from Greek titans to Norse Jotnar. Biblical texts describe the Nephilim, while Hindu and Islamic traditions describe their own giant beings. These stories likely serve a deeper human purpose, explaining a world that once felt bigger and stranger. Massive fossil bones, discovered long before paleontology existed, likely fueled many of these legends too. Without any concept of extinct dinosaurs or mammoths, giants were often the most logical explanation available. In that light, giant myths weren't foolish. They were an understandable attempt to explain real mysteries. Modern science simply gave us better tools to finally answer those same old, honest questions. That's really what separates healthy curiosity from a modern hoax, a willingness to actually check the evidence. Ancient people wondering about giant bones were doing their best with what they had. Modern hoax creators, on the other hand, know exactly what they're doing and do it anyway. That distinction matters, especially in an age where a single fake photo can travel worldwide in minutes. A healthy dose of skepticism doesn't ruin the wonder of ancient mysteries. It actually deepens it. Understanding how the Lion Gate was really built doesn't make it less impressive. It makes it more so. Real human achievement, it turns out, never actually needed any giants to begin with. So the doors were never built for giants. They were built by ambitious humans for other humans. Built to impress, to defend, to inspire awe, and to declare real human power. And honestly, that's a far more impressive story than any myth about giants. It means ordinary people, without giants or magic, achieved something genuinely extraordinary. Ramps, ropes, leverage, teamwork, and sheer determination built every one of these towering doorways. No mythical beings required, just remarkable human ambition stretched across thousands of years. So next time you see a massive ancient doorway online, you'll know the real story behind it. What other ancient mystery do you think deserves the same kind of careful, factual look? Let us know. If this myth-busting deep dive interested you, subscribe for more real evidence behind viral legends. Giants never built these doors. Ambitious, clever humans did, and that's the far better story.